for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom here back with a video, and today I'm bringing you guys the most frustrating coverage defense in Madden 21. It's going to be out of the nickel 3-3-5 wide formation. I'm going to be showing you guys a new setup, a couple of new setups out of a different or kind of off-meta coverage shell per se. It's one that not a lot of people run. A cover 2 shell in this year's game is not very common. More people are running that cover 3 shell that you probably see online. So we're just going to run out of basic Tampa 2. Of course, you could run it out of cover 2 sync. It doesn't really make too big of a difference. They're identical. But we're just going to run it out of Tampa 2. Of course, we're in the 4-6 defensive playbook so that we can do this audible and get our safeties at linebacker. Let's hop into our zone drops. I'm going to go with our flats at 20 and our curl flats at 5. Of course, whenever I say this, I always say that you can go up to 25 if you're more comfortable with that as well. Leave auto flip on because you don't know which side they're going to be running it out of. And then come out in Tampa 2 out of the 3-3-5 formation. Tampa 2 out of the 3-3-5 wide will already be in your audible, so that's no reason for concern really. As far as the plays we're going to go over, let's run this gun bunch like we usually do. Replicate an authentic offensive gameplay style. Anyways, here we are on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to press X, D-pad to the left, hop into the Tampa 2 formation, and now here is where it gets interesting. Now you can do a couple of different things. I'm just going to show you guys the basics of kind of what we're doing. And I'll talk about a couple of different ways to replicate it because it really depends on what you want to do. You'll see in a minute, but for now what we're going to do is we're going to press our defensive backs. I'm going to spread our defensive line. And then what I like to do is I'm just going to put LB in a curl flat and we're going to put X in a curl flat. Just like this. The last thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to put this A outside linebacker in a bluff blitz zone. Here's what it looks like. Bluff blitz, and then of course you're going to be using Donovan Wilson right here in the middle of the field as you do in 3-3-5 wide. Always going to be using that middle guy. But yeah, here's a look at your player. Of course, you can always slant outside, slant inside, however you want to go, or you could leave it default, of course. But the main adjustment's going to be having that 3 receiver hook, that curl flat, that other curl flat. Of course, there's a hole in your defense. You recognize that, and that's going to be in the middle of the field, so that's where you're going to watch. Out of something like bunch, a play like this will not get open, just a kind of stock flood play. Of course, when I'm using, I'm going to pretty much watch X, but I want you guys to take a look at that 3 receiver hook. You saw it right there with Xavier Woods on the right-hand side. He was covering Golden Tate there like glue, not giving him any room, and overall just completely locking him up like a match coverage zone or a man-to-man coverage zone. I really love the 3 receiver hook. Especially from the linebacker spot. I know people run it from the defensive line spot in certain setups. That's good, but it can't cover the range that an outside linebacker or a cornerback, as you will see later, can cover. So, again, just simply audible. Spread the D-line, press your defensive backs. L1 in a curl flat, X in a curl flat, and then just A in a bluff blitz. Relatively simple setup. Again, pretty conservative. Also, when you're running a cover 2 shell, you don't have to run cover 2 every single play. I can audible to man coverage. I can audible to Mike Blitz 3. I could mix in some user rush. That's the beauty of 3-3-5 wide, especially when you consider the fact that all of these setups pretty much look the exact same. So, when you're able to just completely mix up your offensive game plan, I didn't even mention that cover 4, it just becomes very difficult to stop. Of course, if you're running this Tampa 2, you're having success. You don't want to stay away from it. Don't run it every play, but run it a decent amount. Let's hop into something like Z spot here. Let's run just a popular type setup now. Something like this maybe gives you trouble. Of course, the route that you're expecting to give you trouble is going to be A, and also potentially RB could get over the top. But look at our 3 receiver hook. He follows him pretty far up the field. The corner out's defended relatively well. This would be the situation where maybe if he's somehow able to pass that upfield and catch it, that's where maybe I go to 25 yards because, again, nothing's going to be in between that range anyway that's not defended. But you see how that 3 receiver hook with Xavier Woods was actually defending the streak well. And this is where it becomes tricky because what you'll see later is we might flip these zones. The outside linebacker in the slot corner. Now, The reason that maybe you're skeptical to do that is because of the ability for this outside linebacker to match onto the tight end so well. You see just a streak here, but you can imagine how if it were a crosser, he's going to be matched on. And that's very important because you see how, if it's matching on, that's just going to allow us to have a simple, assignment, and that's pretty much going to be the drag. So I can come out on that. You see how he covers it for long enough to where this would be a very difficult pass to complete. Pretty much an uncatchable ball. So that streak, pretty much uncatchable, especially at this point in the year. All the safeties are 99 speed in Ultimate Team. Regs is kind of a different story, but in Ultimate Team, everybody's 99 speed, so you don't necessarily have to throw 3 deep blues every play. Of course, I don't recommend going with like this every time because deep posts can beat this pretty easily, but something like a streak cannot. So you mix it up. He's not going to know what play to run in what situation, but hopping into it one more time, and then we'll kind of flip a couple of things. One more time, here's a look at your play art. Go ahead, snap the ball again. With this flood play, you see how RB is just defended really well. Xavier Woods is there. There we got Awuzie coming off that right-hand side. Again, you're not going to get really good pressure. You are still rushing 3, which is not bad considering the fact the standards of 3-3-5 wide, where a lot of people send that 2-man rush every single play, even a 1-man rush. So sending 3 is not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but still don't expect to generate a whole lot of pressure doing that. Alright guys, now I actually lied. I kind of forgot that I could not do this adjustment. I was kind of confused between 3-3-5 and 3-3-5 wide. In 3-3-5, I can get this L1 corner in that bluff blitz and he will play the 3 receiver hook. But out of 3-3-5 wide, he gets in this vertical hook zone. Now, I've seen him play kind of both zones. Some weird stuff happens and a couple of different things that go on. So if I set my defense up like this, which I could do, this would not be the worst defense in the world. The vert hook shaded down. If I were probably playing this style of defense, I would set my hook to maybe 5 yards so that I can defend a drag well. But this vert hook's typically not going to be good. So we can do a couple of different things with him. Of course, we cannot get that 3 receiver hook, but you'll see a couple of the things I do. Now, he's actually going to defend things really pretty well from that point. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but it's unfortunate that we cannot get that 3 receiver hook like I thought we could. But and here you see from Tampa 2, that's what it looks like out of 3-3-5 normal. You can get that 3 receiver hook, but the moment I audible, he's stuck in that vert hook. Now, I could leave him in the vert hook. That would be the first way to run it. And set up something completely like this. And if I'm going with that, I'm probably going to 3 receiver hook one of these guys. Now, that's not what I want to do technically speaking. If I don't have a 3 receiver hook on the field, I want to man up that slot corner on one guy. Now, I can isolate 2 people in the situation. The tight end, which he's not going to be lined up on directly, or that slot wide receiver. Now, thinking about route combos in bunch, and of course, this varies depending on formation to formation. Going ahead, thinking about route combos in bunch. What could they go to? They could go to flood. They could go to Z-spot. They could go to a Jets dig style of play. But the common theme here is it's not a whole lot of routes where RB's going over the middle, on slants, on posts, on things like that. So the common theme is that I want to man up the tight end. Now, of course, I can man him up like this. And then maybe I go with something like this. So this would be an option to run. I have a 3 receiver hook. I man up that outside linebacker on the tight end. Or I could, of course, man up L1 on the tight end like this. And I could leave that 3 receiver hook. So I'll kind of show you what it looks like from both sides. Of course, in certain situations, he's going to be on a flat. But it's actually paying off in that specific scenario. Because when you have your outside linebacker on the curl flat, it's going to take him a long time to get out there. And it took him a while in this situation, and the man coverage actually ended up helping. Let's go with something else. Now, I don't really have all the routes here, but out of flood, you would probably see something like this maybe. Pretend that A is on like a post route, and if that were the case, pretty much what you could end up doing is you could set it up the same way. You're going to go with LB on A, and you're just going to put both outside linebackers in those curl flat zones. Of course, I could always run it like this. This doesn't give me any help in the middle of the field, though, so I'm probably going to want to have a bluff blitz on either side. If I'm manning up the guy on the right, I usually bluff blitz the guy on the left side. because the right side should be covered pretty well. Anyways, it gets a little bit congested with all those guys on the right. That's pretty much the reasoning, but I'll show you what the flood play looks like. You see, I probably kind of look over on RB, and the man coverage helps. Of course, we get an inaccurate from Daniel Jones, but you can see how that could potentially pay off. Of course, out of something like Tampa 2, I could get completely wild, and if I were to get completely wild, what I would pretty much do is I would go ahead outside quarter B, and then I would actually just double flat with something like this. So I'm gonna, actually, I think I would, in this situation, I would probably curl flat LB, and then I would cloud flat LB or slot corner, and then I would curl flat B or A. Sorry, I'm all over the place here, but this would be an option that you could go with. You basically outside quarter B, you're gonna cloud flat that slot corner, so you're gonna put him in a curl flat or a hard flat, does not matter. Or actually, you're gonna put him in a hard flat probably, but I wanted to shade over the top, so I put him in a curl flat, shade underneath, shade over the top, and then I just put A in a curl flat. The last thing you're gonna do is put X in a bluff blitz. This is a very advanced setup. If you're kind of new to the game, you don't have all the adjustments down. I wouldn't expect you to know this or how to do this, but this would be a little bit more versatile depending on the formation. Right there, they try to go over the top. You see it's still defended pretty well there. I'll set it up very briefly because it is pretty different from the other setups, but I wanted to make up for not having the bluff blitz with the slot corner because I did completely forget about that. So what you do is press B in an outside quarter, LB in a hard flat, A in a curl flat, X in a curl flat, and X in a bluff blitz. Of course, referring to the linebacker and then the defensive lineman. If I really wanted to, I could like shade on inside potentially just so those deep halves play a little bit better. But you see how the coverage really well. The 3 receiver hook from the D-line spot defends those running back routes a little bit better. So you see that was the case on this little check and release hook with Saquon. But overall, it's going to do with the video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and peace. I'm out of here.